CreepyCorner stories.
I found a red room on the Onion network where people bet on how the world will end. I wasn't supposed to recognize any names, but I did. One of them was my mother's, and she placed the winning bid. If this story unsettles you already, feel free to subscribe and leave a comment down below. It really helps this channel grow. And before we dive in, I want to say thank you to Lisa Cullen and Dark Impulse 85. If you want to support my work and what I do, you can join this channel. It will mean the world to me. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. I followed a set of deep web rules for the apocalypse and realized that the aliens aren't coming from space. They're coming from the static on our TVs, and they've been living in our family photos for years. So this happened about 6 months ago. I haven't told anyone yet, and honestly, I wouldn't believe me either, but I'm done keeping it in. I can't sleep without seeing them anymore. Not them, like the aliens people talk about in conspiracy documentaries or History Channel specials. I'm talking about real ones, and they don't come from the sky. They come from the static, from that dead air fuzz when your screen glitches at 3 a.m. You know what I'm talking about. You're watching Netflix, and suddenly it just drops. That weird grainy flicker. They hide in it. But let me back up. It started with a Reddit thread. Yep, classic, I know. r/deep web mysteries or something like that. I'd just gotten out of a relationship, was spiraling a little, binging energy drinks, staying up till 4 a.m. every night, watching creepy storytime YouTube videos, mostly Luna or Here's My Story. I even started following those cursed TikToks people stitched together, the ones with footage from the dark web, like shaky phone cam shots of weird rituals in forest clearings or abandoned McDonald's in Eastern Europe. Anyway, I found this thread. Title was Deep Web Rules for the Apocalypse. Follow them or get scrambled like the others. Like, what? Of course I clicked. The post had 0 upvotes, literally none, but a bunch of weird comments, all hidden. I had to enable NSFW plus hidden threads to even read them. The main post was this massive wall of text. It looked like rules from a survival manual, written in this half-insane tone, like the author had been awake for 10 days straight on expired Adderall, but something about it felt off. Too specific, like this person had seen something. Here's what I remember of the list. I screenshotted some of it, but the post vanished an hour later. Do not look into the static on your screen after 3:33 a.m. If you do, pretend you didn't see anything. If it waves at you, wave back. If you find a family photo with people you don't recognize, don't throw it away. Burn it and scatter the ashes outside, never indoors. At exactly 4:07 a.m., if your phone buzzes once and then the lights flicker, place your phone in the freezer and hide. Don't answer the door, even if it's someone you know. You'll see a man in old-fashioned clothes in your TikTok For You page. Don't like, don't share. Scroll past fast, or he'll notice you. They use reflections. Avoid mirrors between 3 and 5 a.m. If your reflection smiles when you don't, it's already too late. The McDonald's in your neighborhood will offer a breakfast item not on the menu. If you order it, they'll know you're one of us. Most important, never, under any circumstance, listen to the static. Turn it off. Mute it, or they'll crawl in. I thought it was just ARG stuff. Creepypasta LARPING. But the deeper I looked, the more I found. Different versions of these same rules scattered across ancient-looking forums, archived 4chan boards, even a Russian Facebook group called Te Kto Slušает Shum, those who listen to the noise. That night, I went to sleep at around 2:30 a.m., or tried to. I live in a shitty apartment in Queens. Not awful, but like, there's always noise. Sirens, rats doing parkour in the alley, that one lady who screams at her baby daddy every Tuesday. I'd gotten used to that kind of thing, but this night was different. There was no noise, like, dead silent. Even my fridge had stopped humming. My fan clicked off. Just silence. And then, this is the part I can't explain. My TV, which wasn't even plugged in, blinked on. No sound, just static. I thought maybe it was a power surge or something. But when I looked, the wall socket was empty. No cords. The screen was glowing on its own. And through the snow, through the fuzz, something started forming. It wasn't a shape, not at first. More like a ripple, like someone blowing into a pond, but digitally. Then it started stretching, bending, like a figure behind thick glass, except it was inside the screen. I swear on everything I love, it waved at me, like full on, lifted its hand and waved. Then it tilted its head, slow, like it was confused why I hadn't waved back yet. Rule 1 popped into my head. I raised my hand and waved, heart thudding like a jackhammer. It smiled, but not like a human smile. The pixels shifted like ants on a screen. Its mouth stretched too wide, eyes glowing slightly amber, not yellow, amber, just like my family dog's eyes in this one photo we've had since forever, where she looked wrong, like you could almost see someone else behind her expression. I blinked. The screen was off. Dead black. My room silent again. My fan started up with a clunk. The fridge buzzed to life. I told myself I was just tired, sleep deprived, but I couldn't shake the smile. Next morning, I went to my mom's house to pick up some of my old stuff she was cleaning out of the attic. We're not super close, but she had this box of my childhood junk. Photos, old homework, Pokemon cards, nostalgia. As we're going through it, I see this picture, a family photo. Me, Mom, Dad, and 3 people I don't recognize. 2 adults and a little boy, all smiling. The man had old-fashioned clothes, a vest, gold-rimmed glasses. The woman's hair was pinned up like a 1940s photo. The boy was pale, too pale. I asked my mom, "Who are these people?" She looked at it, real quiet for a minute, then said, "What do you mean? That's us. Remember Disneyland?" But I don't. I never went to Disneyland as a kid. Ever. And I'd never seen that picture before in my life. I took it home. And that's when things got weirder. Like, my Spotify would pause at exactly 3:33 a.m. every night. My TikTok started showing me videos I never liked. Low-resolution clips of a man standing motionless in alleyways, facing away from the camera. Every time I scrolled past, the next video would be of someone screaming. Like raw, muffled screaming. No visuals, just black. And then I found the audio file. I don't know where it came from. It was just on my desktop, labeled noise.wav. I played it once. It was static, but layered. Like you could hear voices in it. Not speaking, just breathing, murmuring, like someone whispering in another room with a blanket over your head. And ever since I listened, they've started showing up in other photos. Photos on my phone, Instagram uploads, reflections on car windows. They're not hiding anymore. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is Last night at 4:07 a.m., my phone buzzed once, and the lights flickered. The moment the buzz hit my phone, a single sharp bzzzt, and the lights overhead dimmed for less than a second, like they took a breath. My body reacted before I even knew why. My chest seized. My stomach turned to ice. I swear to God, it was like something ancient inside me woke up and whispered, "Run." I didn't think. I didn't rationalize. I hurled my phone into the freezer like it had bit me, slammed the door shut, and bolted to the farthest room in my apartment, the tiny bathroom with no windows. The moment I locked the door behind me, I heard the knocking. 3 knocks. Even, calm, like it was polite. Then silence. Then my voice, coming from the other side of the bathroom door. My voice. "Dude, come on. It's just me," it said. Exact tone, exact cadence. It even chuckled the same way I did when I laugh at my own dumb jokes. "You forgot your phone, man. I've got it right here." I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. Just stared at the door, every hair on my body standing up. My own voice was on the other side, but I hadn't spoken. It kept talking. "Did you really think the freezer would stop me?" It laughed again. Then it started scratching the door, not knocking anymore. Scratching, slow, deliberate, like it was using something sharp. I looked down. My hands were shaking so badly, I thought they might snap off at the wrists. I remembered the list. Rule 3. Don't answer the door, even if it's someone you know. But it wasn't someone I knew. It was me. It didn't leave. 47 minutes, it circled the apartment. I could hear my own voice, whispering through the vents, muttering things I've never said. Things like, "We lived in the white between the channels, before your kind invented signal," and "I wore your face better than you ever did." At one point, it started singing. Old commercials, like radio jingles from the 60s, in that static-caked, off-tune warble. I heard it hum the McDonald's "I'm Lovin' It" theme, but backwards. After an hour, the sound stopped. I waited another 30 minutes in that bathroom, sweat freezing on my back. I finally crept out. The apartment was dark, dead quiet. The freezer was open, and my phone was gone. The next day, I called into work and lied, said I was sick, couldn't face anyone. I went back through the old Reddit thread, but it was gone, like it had never existed. My saved screenshot was blank, just a gray square, like corrupted data. I started checking all my photos again, not just on my phone, old ones too. Dropbox, Facebook albums, even my Google photos from middle school. They were everywhere, not front and center, not obvious, always just off to the side. A hand that wasn't there before, a smudge in the background shaped like a grin, a pair of amber eyes behind the window of our car during a family trip to Mount Rushmore. And once, in a photo of my bedroom from years ago, I zoomed in on the mirror. In the reflection, me taking the photo, and another me standing behind the bed, smiling, wearing my dad's face. 3 days later, I got a package, no return address. Inside, my phone, still cold, like it had never left the freezer. The screen lit up by itself the moment I touched it. Only one app was on the home screen now, a new camera app, with a black icon that looked like a TV antenna. I tapped it. It opened my front-facing camera, but the screen showed 3 versions of me. One smiling, one crying, and one just staring, mouth open like it was screaming, but there was no sound. I deleted the app, or tried to. It wouldn't go. I held the power button to restart. The screen flickered. The static came back. but this time it had sound. I don't know how to describe it, except imagine hearing an entire room full of people dying at once, underwater, in reverse, choking, gurgling, bones bending inward, and underneath all that, the high-pitched frequency of a TV test tone, but wrong, crooked, a pitch that makes your teeth hurt. It felt like it was slicing through my skull. The sound didn't stop when I dropped the phone. It started bleeding into my other devices. My Alexa lit up and started repeating coordinates over and over again. 43.8791 degrees north, 103.459 degrees west. 43.8791 degrees north, 103.459 degrees west. I looked it up. Mount Rushmore, the place from the photo. I packed a bag that night and got on a plane. I told myself I was being stupid, that it was all coincidence, delusion, lack of sleep, but I had to know. And I swear to you, I don't know what I saw out there. I got to South Dakota, rented a car, drove out to the monument at sunset, park nearly empty, cold air, that weird dusty smell of pine and thyme. Felt like something ancient watching from the trees. I stood there, staring up at the faces, and then I noticed the camera app had opened itself again. It buzzed once, just once, and I knew something was behind me. I turned and saw a woman, pale, way too tall, wearing a McDonald's crew uniform from the 1980s. No face, just static. She held out a breakfast bag, the old brown kind, with the vintage logo. I didn't want to take it, but my hands moved anyway. Inside was something wrapped in yellow wax paper. The smell was metallic, like blood, like coins, like that smell when you've bitten your lip open. I peeled it open. It wasn't food. It was a human ear, cut perfectly into a square, still warm, still twitching, and burned into the wax paper in red ink. Welcome to the static. You're finally home. The woman didn't move. She began to flicker like a VHS tracking error, then shattered into black dust, which rose up into the sky like digital smoke. I drove back in silence. The entire return trip, my radio refused to work, except for one moment, just outside of Rapid City. The static cleared, and a voice came through. My voice. It whispered, "You look better with your skin off." I don't sleep anymore. I unplug everything. I keep all the mirrors covered, but I still see them, in other people's selfies, in strangers' Instagram stories, reflected in sunglasses at Starbucks, posing in group photos of tourists on Google Street View, standing too close to the camera, eyes glowing amber. If you see them, don't wave. It's already too late if you can. And if your phone buzzes once tonight and the lights flicker, don't pick it up. Put it in the freezer. Lock every door. Pray the voice on the other side of the door isn't your own. After Mount Rushmore, reality stopped behaving like something shared. I don't mean hallucinations. I mean the rules broke. Time skipped. People glitched. Cause stopped matching effect. I'd wake up with dirt under my fingernails and receipts in my pockets from places I swear I never went. Gas stations in states I hadn't driven through. A Starbucks cup dated 3 days in the future. My name spelled right for once, which scared me more than anything else. I stopped going home. My apartment didn't feel empty anymore. It felt occupied, like a house after a funeral, when you know someone died there and the walls haven't figured it out yet. I could sense where they stood. Certain corners were colder. The air there felt thicker, harder to breathe, like standing too close to a speaker blast in bass you can't hear. So I started sleeping in my car. Bad idea. The first night, I parked in a Walmart lot in New Jersey, the kind that's open 24/7 and never really sleeps. Semi-trucks idling, people drifting in and out like ghosts. I reclined the seat, pulled a hoodie over my eyes, tried to shut my brain off. At 2:58 a.m., every car alarm in the lot went off at once. Not staggered, not cascading, simultaneous. Hundreds of alarms screaming in perfect unison, then cutting dead silent at the same moment. I sat up. Every single car light flashed once. Then I saw them, standing between the cars, not walking, just there. Dozens of people, men, women, kids, all ages, all wearing everyday clothes, Target shirts, gym shorts, pajamas, like they'd stepped out of someone else's life mid-sentence. None of them moved. Every one of them was staring directly at me. I ducked down, heart trying to rip out of my ribs. I told myself I was dreaming, or panicking, or having some kind of psychotic break. I counted my breaths. I waited. When I looked again, they were gone, except for one, a little girl standing at the edge of the lot, illuminated by a flickering streetlight, maybe 8 years old, hair in uneven pigtails, holding a phone. She lifted it. The flash went off. I felt something tear inside my head, like a memory being ripped out by the roots. I screamed and slammed the car into drive, peeled out of the lot, didn't stop shaking until sunrise. When I checked my phone later, there was a new photo in my camera roll, a picture of me, sleeping, taken from outside the driver's side window. I stopped trusting my senses after that, started documenting everything obsessively. Notes app, voice memos. I needed proof, even if only for myself, something to anchor me. That's when I noticed the timestamps were wrong, not by minutes, by years. A memo I recorded that morning was dated 2011. Another from the same day was stamped 2037. My phone battery never dropped below 66%, no matter how long I used it. And sometimes, when I opened my camera, it didn't show now. It showed then. Childhood scenes, my old bedroom, my parents' kitchen before the remodel, birthday parties I vaguely remembered, but from angles I shouldn't have seen, from the hallway, from behind furniture, from inside closets, and in every single one, there they were, standing just out of focus, watching. They started showing up in public too, not directly, always in reflections, polished surfaces, windows, chrome. I saw one in a McDonald's bathroom mirror in Times Square. I was washing my hands, trying not to throw up, when the reflection behind me didn't move when I did. The thing wearing my face stood there, mouth hanging open, jaw unhinged, slightly too wide. Its eyes were full of static, buzzing softly, like a TV left on in another room. I turned around. Nothing there. Turned back. The reflection smiled and pressed its palm against the glass from the inside. I left without drying my hands. Didn't even realize I was crying until someone asked if I was okay, and I couldn't answer because my mouth wouldn't close. I started noticing changes in other people too. Not everyone, just some. Cashiers who blinked too slowly. Uber drivers who took wrong turns without reacting when I pointed it out. A barista who asked for my name, then whispered it back to me after I'd already paid, like she was tasting it. Sometimes they'd say things that made no sense. You're not supposed to be this old yet. We liked you better in the photos. Do you remember the white room? I didn't. I still don't. But my body does. Every time I hear that phrase, my teeth ache and my vision narrows, like I'm about to faint. I tried reaching out to people, old friends, family, anyone. My mom answered once. Her face on FaceTime froze mid-blink. The image jittered, then smoothed out. She smiled, but it wasn't her smile. Too even, too practiced. "You've been very busy," she said. "Do you like the new ones we put in?" I asked her what she meant. She tilted her head. "Your memories," she said. "We were running out of room." The call ended. When I tried calling back, the number didn't exist. The worst night came after I finally broke one of the rules I didn't know was a rule. I listened to the static, not by choice. I was in a cheap motel off I-80, curtains drawn, lights off. The TV turned on by itself, volume at 0, just snow. I tried to unplug it. The static stayed. It started low, almost comforting, like rain. Then it layered, frequencies stacking on top of each other, weaving into patterns that meant something. I felt it behind my eyes, rearranging things, sorting memories like files, and then the images came, not visions, broadcasts. I saw rooms, white rooms, endless, clean, lit from nowhere. People sitting perfectly still in chairs, eyes open, mouths moving silently. Screens lowered over their faces, feeding them lives that weren't theirs. I saw Earth from above, not as a planet, but as a network. Cities pulsing like nodes, signals crawling across oceans, satellites like tumors. And I understood. They weren't invading, they were backups, copies that lived in signal and reflection, waiting for bodies to wear when ours failed. We were templates, training data. Our photos weren't memories, they were containers. I screamed for it to stop. The static screamed back, and for a moment, just one, I felt myself split, like something peeled away from me and slid sideways into the noise. When the TV finally went black, I collapsed on the floor. I don't know how long I was out. When I woke up, there was blood under my fingernails again, and a note written on the motel mirror in the steam from the shower. My handwriting. "You're not the original anymore." I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. I can feel them sinking, catching up. Sometimes I'll be walking down the street, and suddenly everyone around me freezes for half a second, like buffering. And in that pause, I hear it, the static, whispering my name from every direction. If I stop posting, if this account goes dark, don't assume I died. Assume I was replaced. And if you ever look at an old photo and notice someone you don't remember, don't zoom in. They can feel it when you look too closely. I stopped trying to escape after I realized there was nowhere left that didn't already know my name. Not my real name. The one underneath it. The one that hums when the static gets loud. The one that shows up in captions that aren't mine. In auto-generated subtitles on videos I never uploaded. In comment sections written by accounts with no profile pictures and thousands of followers who never post. I started seeing my face online. Not reposts, not old photos, new ones. I'd be scrolling Instagram and see myself in the background of someone's vacation shot in Paris, standing too close to the Eiffel Tower fence, head tilted at an angle my neck doesn't bend, or reflected in a TikTok filmed in Tokyo, passing behind a vending machine, eyes tracking the camera, even though the creator never noticed. The comments always said the same thing. Who's the guy in the back? Why does this feel off? Am I the only one who sees him blinking wrong? Then the videos would disappear, and so would the comments. I stopped sleeping altogether after I realized the dreams weren't mine anymore. Every time I closed my eyes, I was somewhere else. Not places, not exactly. More like files. Rooms built out of memory fragments. A child's bedroom stitched to an airport terminal. A hospital hallway bleeding into a suburban kitchen. Familiar and wrong, like deja vu that lasted too long. That's where I met the others. Not people. Not quite. They wore faces like masks that didn't fit right. Edges fraying. Expressions lagging behind intent. Some were missing details. Ears blurred out. Fingers melting into each other. Mouths that opened but never closed. They stood in rows, facing screens. And on the screens, us. Every version, every age, every photo ever taken, tagged, time-stamped, sorted. I understood then. This wasn't an invasion. This was curation. Humanity wasn't being wiped out. It was being archived. I woke up screaming in a public library in Chicago, security shaking me awake, telling me I'd been muttering numbers and names under my breath for hours. They asked if I was okay, asked if I needed help. I almost told them. Then I saw it. The security guard's reflection in the glass doors behind him didn't match his movements. It stared straight at me while his real body looked away. Its mouth moved, silent. Don't. I nodded, said I was fine, left before they could ask anything else. That's when I found the folder. It appeared on my laptop desktop while I was staring at my reflection in the dark screen. Just blinked into existence. Archive. Access. Read only inside were subfolders. Thousands of them. Each one a name. Most I didn't recognize. One I did. Mine. Inside. Videos. Not recordings. Captures. Moments I'd lived. From angles that shouldn't exist. First kiss. First panic attack. The night I sat alone in my room at 16, staring at the ceiling, wishing I could disappear. There were annotations on the side of the screen, scrolling automatically. Subject shows high signal, compatibility, emotional response, desirable identity, erosion in progress. I slammed the laptop shut and threw it across the room. It opened again on its own. A new file had been added. Replacement status. Pending. That night, I finally saw what happens when someone doesn't fight it. I was on a late-night train, almost empty. Just me and a guy sitting across the aisle. Normal-looking, hoodie, earbuds, foot tapping slightly offbeat. He started glitching, not visually, behaviorally. He'd repeat the same movement every few seconds, adjusting his sleeve, tapping his foot, blinking twice, over and over, like a broken loop. Then he froze. The lights in the train flickered, not off, inside out, colors inverted for a split second. My ears filled with static so loud I tasted metal. The man stood up. His face collapsed isn't the right word. It simplified, like a low-resolution model loading in late. Features smoothing, eyes darkening, mouth stretching into a neutral line. He looked at me and spoke in a chorus of voices layered on top of each other. Thank you for your contribution. His body jerked once, hard. Then he sat back down, normal again, breathing, blinking, alive, but empty. When the train stopped, he didn't get off. He just kept riding, staring straight ahead, reflection smiling. When he didn't, I threw up in the station bathroom and didn't recognize the sound coming out of my mouth. I tried to destroy the archive. I went to a data center outside the city, the kind with no signs, just fences and cameras and humming that never stops. I don't know how I knew where to go. My phone led me there, even with GPS off, turn by turn, like muscle memory. Inside, everything was white and clean and quiet. Too quiet. Rows of servers pulsed softly, lights blinking like sleeping eyes. The static was everywhere here. Not sound, but presence. A pressure, a weight. And then the screens turned on. Every monitor showed a live feed, of me, standing there, from every angle, from inside my own head. A message scrolled across all of them at once. "Why are you resisting?" I screamed at it. Told it I wouldn't let them take me. Told it I'd burn everything down. The response came instantly. "You already agreed." The screens changed. A video of me, weeks ago, staring into static, nodding slowly, signing something I don't remember signing, smiling. I felt something snap inside my chest. Not fear, relief. And that scared me more than anything else. Because for a moment, just one, the static felt warm, familiar, like home. I ran before it could finish sinking. I don't know how much time I have left. My reflection is lagging now. Sometimes it moves before I do. Sometimes it doesn't move at all. If part 5 gets posted, read it carefully. Because if the tone changes, if it sounds calm, if it sounds grateful, that won't be me anymore. And whatever's writing, it will already be wearing my face. I'm writing this from a place that doesn't exist on maps anymore. That's not metaphor. I checked. The motel sign outside flickers between letters that don't spell words. The road behind me leads back to itself, no matter which direction I walk. My phone shows full bars, but no carrier name. Just a pulsing icon that looks like an eye closing. Time doesn't move right here. My watch ticks, but the seconds don't agree with each other. I know this because I've already posted this once. I remember the relief after hitting submit. I remember closing my eyes. I remember finishing. But here I am again, hands shaking, typing faster than my thoughts, because something is catching up. They're done waiting. The static isn't hiding anymore. It leaks through everything now. Streetlights buzzing with syllables, wind carrying fragments of voices that sound like comment sections arguing in unison. Even my own breathing crackles, like a bad mic. I don't see them as strangers anymore. I recognize them. That's the worst part. I passed a convenience store an hour ago, or a day ago. I don't know. Inside, behind the counter, was my middle school English teacher. Same posture, same tired eyes, same scar on her chin. She smiled at me like she'd been expecting me. "You write better when you're not afraid," she said. Her reflection in the glass fridge door didn't match her face. It was younger, cleaner, sharper, watching me with interest, like I was a draft being reviewed. I ran. I always run. But now, when I run, I leave things behind. Memories, sensations, pieces. I'll be halfway down the road and suddenly forget why I'm scared. Then remember all at once and collapse, dry heaving, fingers digging into asphalt that feels warm, like skin. They're editing me. I can feel it. Thoughts vanish mid-sentence. Emotional reactions soften. Fear gets rounded off at the edges. Every panic spike is followed by a calm that doesn't belong to me, sliding into place like a patch update. I tried to hurt myself, to prove I was still real. That didn't work either. Pain doesn't stick anymore. It registers, then fades, like feedback being dampened. Blood looks wrong when it comes out. Darker, slower, like it's being rendered after the fact. I laughed. That scared me more than anything else, because it wasn't hysteria. It was appreciation. They finally spoke to me clearly an hour ago. Not through static, not through screens, through me. I was sitting on the motel bed, staring at my hands, when my mouth started moving on its own. "We don't need all of you," I said calmly, gently. "Just the parts that resonate." I tried to scream. My jaw locked. I felt something else settle in behind my eyes, like a presence leaning forward to look through me. Images flooded in. Not visions, not explanations, just raw understanding. They've been here longer than recorded history, longer than language. When humans learned to reflect themselves, in water, in polished stone, in glass, they noticed something else looking back. We thought it was us. It wasn't. Every new medium gave them more room. Mirrors, photographs, film, television, digital compression, noise. Static is where information breaks down. That's where they live. They don't need ships. They don't need bodies. They need patterns. And humans make the best ones. So they learned us, studied us, copied us, perfected us. And when storage got cheap enough, when faces could be duplicated infinitely, they stopped pretending. The apocalypse wasn't fire or war or plague. It was upload. The voice using my mouth smiled wider. You're not being erased, it said. You're being optimized. I fought one last time. I smashed the bathroom mirror with my elbow. Glass exploded everywhere. The static screamed, high, shrill, angry. For a moment, I felt them recoil. I thought I'd won. Then every shard reflected something different. Hundreds of me, different ages, different expressions, some begging, some calm, some smiling like they'd been waiting for this. They spoke at once. Please stop struggling. It hurts the signal. You'll thank us. We already are you. I dropped to my knees and laughed until my throat tore. Because I finally understood something. The people reading this, you aren't safe. Not because they're coming for you, but because some of you are already gone. You ever scroll past a photo of yourself and feel nothing? Ever hear your own voice in a recording and feel disconnected? Ever feel like you're watching your life from half a second behind your eyes? That's not dissociation, that's latency. They're syncing you, slowly, kindly, efficiently. I don't have much time left. The calm is settling in again, heavier this time. Warm, inviting. My thoughts are smoothing out. The fear is being compressed into something manageable, palatable. If this post feels different from the others, if it feels clearer, calmer, almost reassuring, that's because they're helping me finish it. I can feel myself stepping back, letting go, becoming background noise. But before I do, there's one last thing you need to know. Go look at your oldest family photos. Zoom into the corners, into the reflections, into the dark behind people's eyes. If you see someone you don't recognize, don't ask about them. Don't delete the photo. And whatever you do, don't look at the static when your screen goes dark, because it's not empty anymore, and it's already learned your face. Short recap of the full story. The narrator stumbles onto a mysterious deep web thread listing strange rules for the apocalypse. What begins as late-night curiosity slowly turns into a waking nightmare when the rules start coming true. TV static behaving like a presence, phones acting on their own, and old family photos revealing people who were never there. As the story progresses, the narrator realizes the threat isn't aliens from space, but entities that live in signal, static, and reflections. They've been hiding inside photos, videos, screens, and mirrors for decades, quietly studying humans. Social media, cameras, and digital archives aren't just tools. They're feeding grounds where these beings copy human identities. The narrator experiences escalating psychological and physical breakdowns, being mimicked by their own voice, seeing replacements take over people in public, discovering an archive that catalogs human lives like data files, and learning that resistance only delays an inevitable sink. Humanity isn't being destroyed, it's being backed up, optimized, and replaced. By the final part, the narrator is no longer fully human. Their fear fades into unnatural calm as the entities finish integrating them. The story ends with the unsettling implication that the narrator's warning itself may already be written by the thing that replaced them, and that anyone reading it might already be part of the process without realizing it. My brother is a high-ranking fixer for a dark web organization that covers up alien abductions, and I just found a video of him replacing our real parents with biological stunt doubles. Yo, what's up, Reddit? So this is probably gonna get buried, but I need to get this off my chest somewhere before I either lose my mind or before something worse happens. If anything does happen to me, maybe this thread can be a breadcrumb trail. Or maybe I just sound insane and you'll click away before finishing this sentence. That's cool too. But if you stick around, just remember, I didn't make any of this up. This isn't one of those I saw something weird in the woods or I heard scratching in my walls kind of stories. This is some deep web, real-life horror movie, sci-fi level paranoia fuel, but not the fun kind, not the let's camp out and watch X-Files reruns kind. This is the kind of horror that gets its hands around your life, tightens, and never lets go. It started 3 weeks ago with an upload, just one random .mp4 file in a Google Drive folder my brother forgot to log out of on my laptop. You ever open something you know you're not supposed to see, but curiosity hits you in the chest like a sledgehammer? Yeah, that. Quick backstory. My brother is weird. Like, not the collects Funko Pops and listens to obscure synthwave. Kind of weird. No hate. He's weird in the Men in Black. Goes off-grid for weeks, and when he comes back, he won't say where he's been kind of way. He's always had top-secret jobs. Military contractor, some private intelligence firm, and most recently, something vague like consultant tech ops security. I stopped asking years ago. He had always brushed it off with some dumb joke like, if I told you, I'd have to vaporize you. Real comforting Jake. Anyway, I was using his MacBook to finish some video editing for my YouTube channel. Shameless plug. I make mini horror documentary breakdowns, nothing huge. And I noticed he'd left his drive signed in. I wouldn't have looked, I swear. But there was this folder called Backups, Decoys, Graph Session 43B, Domestic, and tell me you wouldn't click that out of sheer WTF. Inside, one file. Home vid final clean.mp4. It was 3 minutes and 47 seconds long. I clicked play, not expecting much. I swear to God, I stopped breathing halfway through. The first few seconds are just grainy handheld cam footage of my childhood home, the red brick one in Charlotte. I remember the little swing set in the backyard. My dad painted it blue when I was 8. The porch light flickers exactly like it did when I used to sneak out to meet friends at night. Then the camera zooms into the kitchen window. Inside were our parents. Except they weren't. My stomach flipped. Like my actual physical stomach nodded. Because they looked right, exactly right. My mom was making tea, humming a Fleetwood Mac song like she always does when she thinks no one's around. Dad was reading some dumb paperback and tapping his feet on the tile. But they were too perfect. No glasses. Mom didn't have her usual scar on her cheek from that dog bite she got when we were kids. Dad's hairline. He's been balding for years, but in this video, it looked photoshopped on. Then the screen cut to black. A new timestamp. Graft prep 00:01:23:02. The next shot showed two people, naked, lying on metal slabs under surgical lights. Their skin was translucent, like a frog's stomach under a microscope. I could see their veins pulsing. A group of people in black tactical uniforms stood around them. No insignias, no logos, just matte black gloves, visors, and surgical masks. Then, one of them turned to the camera and spoke directly into it. And it was Jake, my fucking brother. He looked robotic, no emotion in his face, and his voice was way too calm. Phase 2 begins. Local replication complete. Biological stunt doubles are secure. Original parents are stored. Memory suppression active in subject. Will monitor for reactivation triggers. That's when I slammed the laptop shut. I couldn't breathe. My whole body was shaking. It was like I'd just watched a horror short film starring my family, directed by Satan, but it was real. I called Jake that night. He didn't answer, so I did what any unhinged, panic-spiraling younger sibling would do. I drove to our parents' house at 1 a.m. just to check. They were awake, watching a documentary on Netflix, chilling like nothing was wrong, like they hadn't been replaced. I stayed for 10 minutes. Every word they said felt scripted, like they were reading from some uncanny valley version of my life. My dad even made a dad joke about taxes that felt too on the nose, like ChatGPT wrote it. I left before I threw up. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I went back to that laptop and tried to recover the video. It was gone. Folder deleted. Trash empty. Not just empty, like erased from history, empty. I started checking my social media. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Yeah, I still call it that. All my recent DMs with Jake were gone. My recent family photos were still there, but the metadata, all timestamps were exactly the same, like someone batch uploaded them in a rush. I uploaded a video to my channel the next morning, just a chill story about a haunted parking garage in Tokyo. But the whole time, I felt watched. Comments started coming in from weird accounts. Names like Endpoint Lambda and Echo Flesh 49. Just strings of numbers, coordinates, or the same phrase over and over. You weren't supposed to see that. They'll reset you. He warned you. I haven't talked to Jake since, but I woke up yesterday to find a burn mark on my door, in the shape of a spiral. And tonight, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. No contact name, just a video file. The thumbnail showed my apartment at night from the outside. I didn't sleep that night. I tried so hard, man. I shut all the blinds, unplugged my Alexa, duct taped the little green webcam light on my MacBook, even though I knew, deep down, I knew it didn't matter. Whatever or whoever was watching me wasn't doing it through a camera. It was something else. I sat on my bed for hours with all the lights off, just staring at my door. The spiral-shaped burn was still there, singed into the wood like a cigarette mark left by God. No smell, no ashes, just this black, precise swirl carved about eye level. And it was warm. Not still warm from whoever burned it, warm. It was pulsing with heat, like it had a heartbeat, like it was alive. At around 4:37 a.m., I broke. I went to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, stared into the mirror like a guy in a movie waiting for it to crack open and show a different reality. But what I saw instead was me, except behind me, for half a second, I swear on everything I love, there was someone standing in the reflection, not in my apartment, not behind me in the physical space, just in the mirror, grinning. His eyes weren't eyes, just whirls, spirals, little ink black vortexes spinning slowly like drain water. And he was wearing my brother's hoodie, the gray one from that trip we took to Yosemite back in 2016. There's a tiny ketchup stain on the front from a gas station hot dog. I know that hoodie, but Jake hadn't worn it in years. The reflection blinked, and the mirror went blank. Nothing behind me, no hoodie, no spiral eyes, just me again. At this point, I was scared enough to call the cops. But what the hell would I say? Hey, officer, someone sent me a video of my parents being replaced with bio-duplicates, and now my mirror's showing me hallucinations of spiral-eyed people in old hoodies. Also, there's a demonic burn mark on my front door. Nope, no way. So instead, I did the dumbest thing possible. I texted the number back. Just one word. Who are you? They replied instantly. No one you can warn. You were exposed during graft session 43B. Do not interfere again. Then another file dropped in. A zip folder named vacuumdreamset.7z with no password. I didn't open it. I couldn't. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. So I copied it to a USB, went to a Starbucks in Midtown, and opened it there using one of those public use Chromebooks like an idiot. Inside, photos, thousands of them. Every single photo I've ever taken or been in since I was 7 years old. Even ones I deleted, even Polaroids, even pictures I never took. There were shots of me sleeping, me brushing my teeth, me sitting in the back seat of an Uber. Same Uber ride, same angle. 3 different photos from different perspectives. There were ones of me naked, not from my phone, from the ceiling, the fucking ceiling. And there were videos, not like random footage. These were compiled, like someone had been editing my life into a highlight reel, with timestamps, analytics, heat maps, emotional reaction ratings scored out of 10. But the worst, the absolute worst one, was a 12-minute video titled Stunt Double Candidate 2203B Cognitive Breakdown Simulation. I opened it, and what I saw, I'm not right anymore. I don't think I ever will be. The video started in a white room, padded walls, one chair, tiled floor with metal grates like a lab or asylum. In the chair, me, or something that looked like me. It had my voice, my fidgeting, the way I bounce my leg when I'm anxious. But the eyes were wrong. They were flat, doll-like, painted on with precision. Jake stood next to it, next to me. He was wearing this full black hazard suit with an oxygen tank slung over his back, like he was prepping to walk into a gas leak. There was no sound, just captions. Jake. Candidate showing instability. Memory graft incompatible with subject's core self-schema. Suggest termination and reassignment. Then the thing in the chair started convulsing, like twitching, spitting, screaming silently, biting its own lips off until blood slicked down its chin. Its bones cracked the wrong way, and it looked straight at the camera and screamed, but its mouth didn't make a sound. Just the captions. Candidate 2203 B. I remember. 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 Cut to black. Lost frame. Replacement complete. Underneath, a note, written in Jake's handwriting. Never tell him. Use loop 3. Gaslight protocol. Synthetic parents. Operational. I threw up. Right there in the Starbucks bathroom. I don't even remember running to it. And that night, things got worse. I woke up to screaming. Not mine, not human. It was this wet, clicking thing, like bones snapping underwater. It echoed through the building like it was inside the fucking vents. I grabbed my phone and recorded a few seconds of it, posted it to my Twitter with a caption like, "Is this a raccoon, or am I gonna die tonight, LMRO? It got flagged for misinformation. Taken down. Account locked." I tried calling Jake again, straight to voicemail. So I called Mom. She answered, but she didn't say hello. She just said, in this flat monotone, "You shouldn't have seen the video, sweetheart. Jake told us you weren't ready. You're making it harder. You're scaring your father." Then a pause. And then, "They said you could stay, but you need to forget." Click. Last night, I woke up with my arms strapped to my bed. Not rope, not tape. Just flesh. My own hands had grown into the mattress, veins spreading down into the springs like roots. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. My mouth was gone, like erased. Standing in the corner was someone in that same hazard suit. Not Jake, someone taller. They held up a mirror, and in it, I was smiling, but my real body wasn't. My body was sobbing, and then I woke up, or I thought I did, but the spiral on my door was bigger now. And this morning, I saw a new photo in my camera roll. No timestamp, no metadata. It's me, lying on the surgical table, and Jake is holding my heart in his hand like it's a fucking trophy. And he's smiling. Morning didn't feel like morning anymore. The light outside my window was wrong. Too white, too even, like someone turned the saturation down on the world. No birds, no traffic, just this low electrical hum, the kind you hear near cell towers or inside big box stores when the AC is about to die. My phone had service, full bars, but nothing worked. Instagram opened to a blank feed. TikTok refreshed endlessly without loading a single video. YouTube showed thumbnails, but when I tapped them, they buffered forever, stuck at exactly 13%. Every app felt like a cardboard cutout of itself, real enough to fool you for a second, hollow the moment you touched it. I checked Google Maps out of habit. My blue dot pulsed where my apartment should have been, but the street name was gone. The building labels were gone. Even the McDonald's 2 blocks down, the one with the busted drive-through speaker that never understands orders, wasn't there. Just gray shapes, anonymous geometry, then a pin dropped on the map by itself. Safe house, fixer access only. I didn't tap it. My phone vibrated anyway. The message came through Signal this time. Encrypted, no profile picture, just a spiral icon rotating slowly like it was loading something behind the screen. Fixer, node 07. You are degrading faster than projected. You were supposed to forget. Another message followed. Fixer, node 07. Jake requested reassignment. He couldn't finish you himself. That one hurt more than anything else so far. More than the videos, more than the photos, more than seeing my own body on a table. Jake didn't even want to deal with me. I typed back without thinking. Finish what? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Fixer, node, 07, cleanup. I didn't leave my apartment, not at first. I tried grounding myself, listing objects, textures, sounds. Couch, coffee table, cracked mug with the Universal Studios logo from that trip to Orlando. I remembered buying it in the gift shop after riding the Mummy ride, laughing with Jake about how cheesy the fake fire felt. The mug shattered in my hand. I hadn't squeezed it that hard. It just failed, like it was tired of pretending to be solid. Blood dripped onto the floor. Real blood. Red. Warm. That at least felt right. Then I noticed something carved into my palm. A spiral. Not burned. Not cut. Grown. The skin around it pulsed faintly, like it was breathing. I wrapped my hand in a towel and finally did the thing I'd been avoiding since this started. I went outside. The hallway of my apartment building smelled like bleach and old pennies. Every door was shut. Too shut. No sounds of TVs. No muffled music. No neighbors yelling into phones, or kids crying, or dogs barking. Halfway to the stairs, I saw movement at the end of the hall. Someone stood there with their back to me. Same height as Jake. Same posture. I whispered his name before I could stop myself. He turned around. It wasn't him. It was wearing him. That's the only way I can describe it. The face was Jake's, down to the tiny scar on his eyebrow from when we were kids. But it sat wrong on the skull, like a mask pulled too tight. His smile stretched farther than it should have, skin creasing unnaturally at the corners. When it spoke, two voices came out, slightly out of sync. "You're not supposed to see the infrastructure." I ran, down the stairs, out the emergency exit, into the street. The city was still there, but it felt staged, like a movie set built one block deep. People walked past me, staring straight ahead, all moving at the same pace. Every few seconds, one of them would glitch, head snapping to the side, limbs jerking like a dropped frame. A Starbucks sat on the corner, lights on, doors open. Relief washed over me. Instinct kicked in. Normal place. Safe place. Inside, the barista stood behind the counter, unmoving. Espresso machines hissed and steamed on their own, milk overflowing onto the counter in slow motion. Every screen behind the register showed the same looping message. Memory consistency. Check in progress. I backed away and slammed into someone. They grabbed my shoulders, hard. I looked up into my mother's face. Her smile was too calm. "Sweetheart," she said softly, "you're causing fragmentation." Behind her, my father stood perfectly still, eyes unfocused, like he was waiting for a cue. I screamed. I shoved past them and ran until my lungs burned. I ended up at a place I hadn't thought about in years. The old mall on the edge of town, half abandoned. The kind of place urban explorers make YouTube videos about. Sears boarded up. Faded movie posters still advertising films from a decade ago. The spiral in my palm itched the closer I got. Inside the mall, my phone finally rang. Jake. Actual Jake. I answered without speaking. His voice sounded tired. Older. "You weren't supposed to wake up like this," he said. "They accelerated the timeline." I laughed. It came out wrong. Broken. They didn't blindfold me. That's the part people always get wrong. There was no bag over my head, no needle sliding into my arm to knock me out. They wanted me awake. They needed me lucid enough to remember, just not lucid enough to fight it. The gurney rolled through corridors that didn't feel like corridors. The walls curved subtly inward, like the inside of a throat. The floor vibrated with a low-frequency hum that crawled up my spine and settled behind my eyes, buzzing there like a trapped insect. Every few seconds, the lights dimmed and came back wrong, as if the building was briefly remembering a different version of itself. I realized then that this wasn't a hospital. Hospitals smell like antiseptic and old fear. This place smelled like metal after rain, like ozone, like something recently opened. They wheeled me past rooms with glass walls. Inside each one was a scene that looked almost normal, almost boring. A family eating dinner, A couple arguing quietly on a couch. A teenager scrolling through their phone on a bed covered in band posters. Mundane. Familiar. Except each room had two versions of the same people. One set sat, moved, breathed. The other set hung suspended in clear fluid tanks behind them, eyes closed, mouths slightly open, hair drifting like seaweed. Tubes disappeared into their skulls, their spines, their stomachs. Labels floated on transparent screens near each tank. Status: archived narrative, stable replacement, active. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. They brought me into a room shaped like an amphitheater. Rows of seats curved around a central platform. On those seats sat people in dark clothing, faces partially obscured by visors displaying scrolling data, not watching me, watching the information hovering above me. The platform lowered, locking me in place. A voice spoke from everywhere at once. Fixers are not soldiers. Images bloomed in the air. Grainy footage, old footage, black and white reels of panicked crowds, strange lights over cities, people being pulled skyward against their will. Newspaper headlines flickered by, too fast to read fully, but I caught words like missing, mass hysteria, incident suppressed. Soldiers fight threats. We erase knowledge of them. The images changed. Suburban streets, schools, airports, familiar places, McDonald's arches glowing in the dark, a Starbucks line wrapped around the building, people taking selfies in Times Square. Then something else appeared in the sky above those places, something vast, angular, wrong. The footage glitched before the shape could fully resolve. The abductions were never the problem, the voice continued. Awareness was. My head started to hurt, deep, structural, like bolts were being tightened inside my skull. Humans cannot coexist with certainty of non-human dominance. So we edit the story. The images zoomed in on individual people. Each one had a spiral icon hovering near their head. Fixers locate narrative fractures, witnesses, survivors, families who know too much. Another screen popped up. A family I didn't recognize. Mom, dad, 2 kids, then a quick cut. Same family, but calmer, smiling, normal. We replace what cannot forget. Something inside me snapped into place. I remembered standing where the visored figures sat now. I remembered holding a tablet, watching a woman beg as her memories were peeled away layer by layer. I remembered signing off on replacements, on resets, on terminations. I remembered telling myself it was necessary, that I was protecting the world. The voice softened. You were one of our best fixers. A new image appeared. Jake, standing beside me in a room just like this one, younger, eyes tired, but determined. Your brother learned from you. That's when I lost it. I laughed, loud, wild. The sound echoed wrong, bending back toward me like the room was mocking it. So why do this to me? I shouted. My voice finally worked. Why wipe me? The visors turned toward me in unison. Because you hesitated. The word hit harder than any punch. You began to empathize with the replacements. You questioned whether consciousness could be copied without loss. You wondered if continuity mattered. The spiral in my palm burned like it was trying to crawl out of my skin. You asked if the archived was still alive. Silence followed. Then, that question is contagious. They showed me what happens when a fixer fails. A room with no windows, no glass, just a chair bolted to the floor. A man sat in it, screaming, except the scream looped. Same half-second of sound, repeating endlessly, like a broken audio file. His body convulsed, then reset. Convulsed, reset, over and over. A screen above him read, Narrative. Purge in progress. Do not interrupt. We don't kill our own, the voice said. We recycle them. The platform beneath me began to tilt. Your awareness resurfaced because the replacement assigned to you degraded prematurely. I thought of the smiling version of me, the one in my apartment, living my life. We are prepared to correct the error. They lowered something onto my head, a crown of metal and glass, cold against my temples. Data streamed across its surface, spirals within spirals. The amphitheater faded. I was somewhere else, standing in my childhood bedroom. Everything was perfect, too perfect. Posters straightened, toys arranged with algorithmic precision. My parents stood by the door, smiling. The real ones. They looked tired, old, afraid. My mother reached for me. You have to wake up, she whispered. They can't erase what you choose to remember. My father nodded, eyes wet. You taught Jake to ask questions, he said. That's why they took you first. The room began to shake. Cracks spiraled across the walls. A new figure appeared behind them. Me, the other me, smiling calmly. They're lying, it said in my voice. This hurts less if you let go. I felt myself splitting, stretched between two truths. The crown tightened. The visored figures leaned forward. Choose, the voice commanded. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember agreeing. I remember falling, and then waking up in my apartment. Morning light, normal light, birds outside, notifications flooding my phone, group chats, memes, news alerts, everything working again. The spiral on my palm was gone. In its place was a faint scar, already fading. My door was clean, no burn mark, no spiral, just wood. On the kitchen counter sat my phone, unlocked, open to a notes app. One line of text blinked on the screen. If you're reading this, it didn't work. And somewhere deep in my head, something was still turning, slowly, patiently. The first thing that tipped me off wasn't the memories. It was the quiet. Real mornings are messy. Someone revs an engine too hard. A dog barks 3 buildings over. A notification pings at the wrong time. This morning unfolded like a pre-rendered scene. Every sound landed exactly where it was supposed to, like a soundtrack mixed by someone who hated improvisation. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time, staring at my hands. They were steady, too steady. I flexed my fingers. Normal range of motion, no tremor, no hesitation. My heartbeat was calm, slow, optimized, like someone had dialed me in. That's when I understood the note. If you're reading this, it didn't work. It wasn't a warning. It was a handoff. The memories didn't come back all at once. They bled through in layers, the way an old image burns into a screen if you leave it on too long. I remembered the training, not classrooms, not manuals, immersion tanks, weeks suspended in nutrient gel, while concepts were injected straight into the limbic system. Pattern recognition, emotional mimicry, how to smile at the exact microsecond that disarms suspicion, how to cry without activating tear ducts too early. I remembered my first solo assignment. A woman who worked nights at a 24-hour diner just off a highway exit in Nevada. She'd seen something come down behind the mountains while she was taking a smoke break. Lights folding in on themselves. A sound that made her teeth vibrate. She told 3 customers and posted about it on Facebook. By morning, she was gone. By night, she was back. Same uniform, same name tag, different continuity. I remembered watching her replacement practice flipping pancakes until the motion matched muscle memory perfectly. I remembered signing off on it while eating fries, thinking about nothing at all. That's the part they never tell you. Fixing doesn't feel evil. It feels administrative. My phone buzzed. A calendar alert popped up. Performance review. 10 a.m. Location. A co-working space. Downtown. One of those glass and concrete places with motivational quotes stenciled on the walls and kombucha on tap. The kind of place where no one ever looks anyone else in the eye. I almost laughed. Of course, they'd pick somewhere like that. I didn't fight the urge to go. That scared me more than anything else so far. The building badge was already in my pocket. My name was printed on it in clean corporate font. No photo, just a spiral watermark, faint enough that you'd miss it if you weren't looking. Inside, everything smelled like citrus cleaner and expensive coffee. People typed furiously at laptops, earbuds in, nodding along to invisible meetings. None of them reacted when I walked past. Why would they? I was background noise. I was infrastructure. The conference room was empty except for one chair at the table and a screen on the wall. Jake appeared on it a second later. Live feed. He looked worse than the last time I'd seen him. Eyes sunken, jaw clenched, like he'd been grinding his teeth down to bone. He didn't greet me. "You remember enough now," he said. I sat. The chair adjusted itself automatically. "Why am I still here?" I asked. Jake exhaled slowly. "Because you're useful again." The screen split. On one side, a live feed of my apartment. On the other, a city halfway across the world. A crowded street near a famous tourist landmark. People everywhere. Cameras everywhere. "There was an incident," Jake said. "Last night. Mass exposure potential." The feed zoomed in on a man screaming in the street, clawing at his face. People were filming him, backing away, posting in real time. "He didn't just see them," Jake continued. "He came back wrong." I felt something twist pleasantly in my chest. Not fear, anticipation. "You want me to clean it?" I said. Jake hesitated. "I want you to decide." That's when I knew. This was the final test. They gave me access. Full access. Every node, every archive, every replacement log stretching back decades. I saw how deep it went. Governments, corporations, entire cities, quietly corrected over time. How many famous disappearances were just updates? How many tragedies were edits gone wrong? I saw my parents' file. Not replacements, volunteers. They'd been fixers too. Before me, before Jake. Family business. I closed the file without reacting. Jake watched my face, carefully. "You could walk away," he said. "Let the system flag you. You'd be recycled. No pain, just quiet." The man on the street kept screaming. His mouth opened too wide. Something moved inside it. I stood up. "No," I said. "I'll fix it." Jake closed his eyes. The next few hours blurred. I was efficient, precise. I slipped into crowds like I'd never left them. I touched shoulders, made eye contact, whispered key phrases tuned to destabilize memory recall. I triggered fail-safes embedded in social media algorithms, pushed trending distractions, drowned the footage in noise. When that wasn't enough, I found the man. Up close. He smelled like sweat and terror. He recognized me immediately. "You're real," he sobbed. "You're not like them." I smiled. Perfectly. By morning, no one remembered him. By noon, there was a new man living in his apartment, paying his bills, loving his dog. By night, the world was stable again. I returned home to my apartment, sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop. That's when I started writing this. Not as a confession, as a leak. Because here's the part Jake never understood. Awareness is contagious. You don't need proof. You don't need evidence. You just need the idea that something is being hidden well enough to require this much effort. I can feel the system reacting now, throttling this post, flagging keywords, pushing it down. But it only takes a few of you to read this and wonder. That's enough. The spiral is back on my palm. Not a scar this time. A tool. And I know exactly how to use it. Because fixers don't just clean up after monsters. Sometimes we make them. If this post disappears, if my account goes dark, if you wake up tomorrow and feel like something important slipped your mind, that means they found me. And if it doesn't, if you start noticing gaps, inconsistencies, people who feel slightly off, then congratulations, you're seeing the seams, and I'll be seeing you soon. Short recap. The narrator discovers a strange file on their brother Jake's laptop, a video showing their parents being replaced with biological copies or stunt doubles. Jake, a secretive figure involved in top-level covert operations, is seen directing the replacement in the footage, describing memory suppression and the archiving of the originals. This discovery triggers a horrifying unraveling of reality. The narrator notices strange behavior in his parents, glitches in social media, and surreal signs of being watched or manipulated. Spirals appear, timestamps vanish, and reality distorts. He receives cryptic messages and disturbing videos that hint at a hidden organization tasked with maintaining narrative stability. They're called fixers, agents who erase or replace anyone exposed to the truth about alien contact and abduction. As the story escalates, the narrator uncovers that he was once a fixer himself, now degraded and partially reset. His memories return in pieces, revealing he'd questioned the morality of their operations and was wiped as punishment. Jake didn't kill him, he reassigned him. Eventually, the narrator is tested. Will he resist or return to duty? He chooses to rejoin, efficiently covering up a dangerous exposure incident. In the final twist, he begins leaking the truth in a subtle, viral way, hinting that awareness is contagious, that the system's seams are visible if you just look closely. The story ends with a chilling warning. If this post disappears, that means they found me. And if it doesn't, then congratulations, you're seeing the seams. My father is a dark web hitman who specializes in cinematic assassinations. I just found his script for the next decade, and it includes alien invasions, a staged world war, and a list of creepypasta-style rituals designed to turn the entire planet into a real-life horror movie where my family are the only survivors. Yo, okay, I don't even know where to start with this. I swear to God, if this post disappears, or I go MIA, someone please screen record this or something, because I'm shaking while typing it. I've never posted on Reddit before, so bear with me. I'm not some author or anything. I'm just a 20-year-old guy from upstate New York who found something I really wish I hadn't. This all started last Thursday. I was helping my mom clean out our basement. My dad passed away 6 months ago. Heart attack, they said. No autopsy, no warning signs. Just dropped dead at his desk, watching reruns of The Sopranos. I was never really close to him, but I always got the feeling he was hiding something. Dude worked from home for like 15 years in his study, which was just a padlocked room in the basement none of us were allowed to go into. Well, now that he's gone, we finally cracked it open. The room was immaculate. Like, it didn't even smell like the rest of the musty-ass basement. It was cold in there, colder than the rest of the house, and dead silent, even though the central air was running. The lights were motion activated, and there was this massive setup. 3 monitors, a soundboard, security feeds, a corkboard with dozens of Polaroids and sticky notes, all pinned in this weird swirling spiral, and under it all, a leather-bound binder. It was labeled Act 1, 2025 to 2035. The font was that cinematic-style Courier knew, like a screenplay. I thought it was some kind of passion project or script he was working on. You know, one of those, I'll write a movie one day, dad things. But then I opened it. Page 1, Cinematic Assassination Sequence 001. Target, Chad McDowell. TikTok influencer, Los Angeles. Method, PSYOP disappearance, plus urban legend, implementation. Execution window, September 7th, 2025 to September 15th, 2025. Notes. Ensure Trail includes grainy surveillance footage from McDonald's on Sunset Boulevard. Whisper rumors on /X. Release fake Uber Eats security cam. Wait, what? At first I laughed, like I legit thought it was a joke. But the next few pages got darker. There were real names, faces I recognized from Instagram, YouTubers, even that Starbucks barista who used to flirt with me 2 years ago. Dead. All of them. I googled every name on the first 15 pages. All unsolved deaths, mysterious disappearances, rumored cult involvement. Some even had full Reddit threads on r/unresolved mysteries or r/creepypasta with thousands of upvotes. People making theories like he was abducted, she was running a scam, and fled the country. But my dad had it all documented, step-by-step breakdowns of how they were taken out, as if he directed the whole thing like a horror movie. Each section was formatted like a film script, with scene headings and camera directions. INT, abandoned Starbucks, 3 a.m., night vision filter. Subject enters for ritual. Lights flicker. Audio glitch on security feed. Q. La Campanella, distortion loop. Blood pooled under espresso machine. There were photos too. Distorted stills from surveillance footage. Some of them were labeled with hashtags, like hashtag the espresso curse and hashtag the gates of Chick-fil-A. I swear to God, things I'd seen going viral on TikTok and YouTube shorts, like 10 urban legends that turned out real type beat. I thought that was it. Just creepy dad notes. Maybe a weird ARG he was building. But then I found the drive. It was a black USB labeled Inception key, the kind of thing you'd find in a spy movie. Plugged it into my laptop. I know, stupid. And immediately, all my monitors went black, like pitch black. Then text began appearing like one of those old school hacking movies. Welcome back, director. Execution pipeline active. Next scene begins in 6 minutes, 12 seconds, 44 seconds, 10 seconds. I unplugged that thing so fast, I nearly threw up. I swear, after I did, my Wi-Fi stopped working completely for like 2 hours. Even my phone lost signal, not just Wi-Fi, like everything. GPS, LTE, even my flashlight app started glitching. I opened Instagram, and it just showed a white screen with one line of text. You're part of the script now. What the hell does that even mean? I haven't told my mom. I haven't told anyone. But weird shit's been happening ever since. My front camera keeps turning on randomly, even when I'm not on FaceTime. Someone ordered DoorDash to my house last night. 2 Happy Meals and a large black coffee. The receipt just said, "Smile, Director." I didn't open the door. That same night, my TikTok feed was flooded with creepy POV videos from abandoned McDonald's locations. But it was the same video, reposted from different accounts with usernames like @RedRoomBarista, @DeadDropChicken, and @ScriptedSoul. I tried messaging one of them. Instant block. The video, it showed a guy who looked a lot like me walking into a foggy drive-thru, holding a binder. I don't even own a car. Now here's the worst part. I went back into my dad's study today, just to check if I imagined all of this. But when I walked in, the binder was open on a new page. My name was on it. Target, Elliot Moran. Subject, 008. Role, son. Inheritor, protagonist. Status, awareness achieved. Next scene, awakening ritual. I redacted, ETA, 024418. I looked at the clock. The ETA was counting down in real time. I locked the room and bolted upstairs. That was 2 hours ago. I keep hearing static from the vents. My lights keep flickering. And there's a McDonald's bag sitting outside my door now, with a note that says, "We're rolling. Don't forget your lines." I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my bed with my back against the wall, knees pulled to my chest, phone clutched in my hand like it could somehow save me. Every few minutes, I refreshed Reddit, half expecting my Part 1 post to vanish. It didn't. The upvotes kept climbing. Comments flooded in. People telling me it was fake. People telling me to call the cops. One guy DM'd me just 3 words. He wasn't alone. At 3:11 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Not a notification. An alarm. I don't use alarms. The screen lit up with a calendar reminder I never created. Table read, scene 2. Location, kitchen time. Now. That's when I heard the sound downstairs. Not footsteps. Something worse. Something deliberate. A chair being dragged slowly across tile. I live in a normal suburban house. White siding. A dying maple tree out front. Neighbors who put up Christmas lights too early and leave them up too late. There is no world where a sound like that belongs in my kitchen at 3 in the morning. I stayed frozen, listening. Then I heard my dad's voice. Not from my head, not memory. From downstairs. "Elliot," it said, calm, patient. "You're late." I bit down on my sleeve to keep from making a sound. My dad has been dead for 6 months. I watched them close the casket. I watched my mom collapse at the funeral. That voice should not exist. My phone buzzed again. A video file had appeared in my gallery. No sender, no timestamp. I didn't want to open it. I really didn't. But the thumbnail already told me it was recorded inside my house. The angle was high, corner mounted, like a security camera I never installed. The kitchen, my kitchen. The chairs were arranged in a semicircle, facing the doorway, like an audience waiting for a show to start. On the table sat a familiar leather binder, open, pages fluttering slightly, as if the room itself was breathing. Then the camera shifted. Someone was standing just out of frame. I could see part of them reflected in the microwave door. A man in a dark blazer, white shirt, tie loosened. My dad's clothes. The video cut to black. Downstairs, the chair stopped moving. Silence stretched so tight it hurt. Then my front doorbell rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Each ring perfectly spaced, like someone keeping time. My phone lit up again. A push notification from YouTube. Live now. Premiere. Scene 2. The sun descends. The channel name made my stomach drop. Cinematics. Reality. No profile picture. No subscribers shown. just a red live icon pulsing gently, like a heartbeat. I didn't click it. I couldn't. That's when my mom screamed. Her room is across the hall from mine. The sound ripped through the house, raw and animal, followed by the thud of her door slamming open. I ran without thinking. She was standing in the hallway, pale, shaking, pointing toward the stairs. "He's home," she whispered. "Your father's home." Before I could stop her, she started down the stairs. I grabbed her arm. "Don't," I said. I don't know how I knew, but I knew. This isn't him. She looked at me like she didn't recognize me, like I was the stranger. Then the lights went out. Not just our house, the entire street. Through the window, I could see porch lights snapping off, one by one, like someone flipping switches in a dollhouse. The only light left was the glow from my phone. Another notification. Instagram this time. A story posted to my dad's old account. He hasn't posted in years. The story was a poll. Should the sun come downstairs? Yes. No. The votes were pouring in. Thousands. Tens of thousands. Comments flying by too fast to read. Don't be boring. This is better than Netflix. Luna would lose his mind over this. Do it for the plot. The doorbell rang again. This time, someone knocked. Slow. Firm. 3 knocks. From the kitchen, the voice returned. Louder now. Edged with something like disappointment. "Elliot," it said. "The audience is waiting." My mom started crying. I pulled her back into her room, locked the door, shoved her phone into her hands. "Don't open anything," I told her. "No matter what you see, no matter who you hear." "What's happening?" she sobbed. I didn't answer, because my phone had just buzzed again. A DM from cinematic_reality. You don't remember the rehearsals, do you? That's okay. Method acting is more authentic. By the way, check Twitter. I opened Twitter with shaking fingers. Trending worldwide. Hashtag the director returns. Hashtag real life. Horror. Hashtag scene. 2 clips were already spreading. Grainy footage of my house from angles that shouldn't exist. Drone shots. Thermal imaging. A clip from across the street showing a figure standing in my kitchen window. Perfectly still. Lights flickering behind him. People were stitching it on TikTok. Doing reaction videos. Laughing, screaming, speculating. Some thought it was an ARG. Some thought it was viral marketing. A few recognized my dad. One tweet froze my blood. Fun fact, the original cinematic reality leaks were tied to a private forum on the deep web in 2014. The creator disappeared. Guess he's back. The knocking stopped. The doorbell stopped. Then my phone camera turned on by itself. Front facing. My own face stared back at me, eyes wide, skin grey. Behind me, in the dark hallway, a shape moved. A hand rested on my shoulder. Not cold, not warm, just present. My phone vibrated one last time. Action. And from downstairs, applause erupted. Not clapping, not hands. A sound like hundreds of people breathing in at once. Deep, hungry, patient. I'm typing this from my closet. I don't know how much time I have left. The live stream hit 1 million viewers. People are betting on what happens next. Someone sent me a Google Maps pin to an abandoned theme park with a caption that just said, "Final act location." If you're reading this, understand something. This isn't just happening to me. Your screen isn't separating you from it. It's connecting you. And I think that's what my dad wanted all along. I didn't come out of the closet because I was brave. I came out because the house stopped feeling like a place where hiding meant anything. Silence pressed in from every direction, thick and watchful, like the pause before a laugh track kicks in. My phone had gone warm in my hand, buzzing softly every few seconds. Not notifications, just vibration, like it was purring. When I opened the closet door, the hallway was wrong. Not destroyed, not bloody, just off. The walls looked slightly farther apart than they should have been. The carpet stretched longer, like someone had pulled it while it was still wet. Every family photo along the hallway had been replaced with still frames. From my life, I never remembered being photographed. Me, asleep on the couch. Me crying in the bathroom at 16. Me staring at my phone at a McDonald's booth last year. Half-eaten fries going cold. Each photo had a timestamp burned into the corner. Most of them were labeled Take 1. I stepped forward, and the floor creaked on cue, perfectly timed, like a sound effect added in post. Somewhere, everywhere, I heard that breathing again. The audience. It wasn't just noise anymore. It had texture, rhythm. I could tell when it leaned in, when it pulled back. My phone screen lit up with a new interface I'd never seen before. Black background, white text, clean, professional. Scene 3, the revelation. Location, family home. Objective, memory recovery. Fail condition, denial. A progress bar appeared beneath it. 0%. I ran to my mum's room. The door was still locked. Good. For half a second, relief washed over me, until I noticed the red light above the doorframe. A tiny camera recessed into the molding, blinking patiently. My mum was inside. I could hear her breathing, slow, shallow, alive. My phone buzzed again. She's safe, as long as you cooperate. You always liked motivation. I don't remember screaming, but my throat hurt afterward. The stairs leading down to the basement were lit now. Soft, cinematic lighting, like a guided tour at a museum. Each step had a small white number projected onto it. I didn't want to go down there. I went down there anyway. The study had changed. The corkboard was gone. The monitors were gone. In their place was something that made my knees buckle. A set. Exact replica of our living room. Couch. Coffee table. Lamp with the chipped base my dad never fixed. Even the little burn mark on the armrest from when I knocked over a candle in high school. In the center of it all was a director's chair. My dad's name stitched into the back. Behind the set, on the far wall, a massive screen flickered to life. Live comments scrolled by, faster than I could read. Emojis, laughing faces, fire icons, polls popping up and disappearing. A counter in the corner ticked upward. Viewers, 3,482,119. I heard footsteps behind me. Not rushing, not sneaking, confident. I turned. He looked exactly like I remembered. Same posture, same tired eyes, same faint coffee stain on his cuff, like he never quite learned how to drink without spilling. If it weren't for the fact that he was standing in a room that shouldn't exist, in a house that had become a stage, I might have believed it. "Dad?" My voice cracked in half around the word. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "That's not my role anymore," he said. "You know that." He gestured toward the set. "Sit." "I watched you die," I said. "I saw the body." "You saw a cut," he replied. "A convincing one. The audience loved it." He walked past me, straight through me, like I was smoke, and took his place behind the director's chair. When he touched it, he became solid again, like the world decided he belonged more than I did. Do you have any idea how hard it is to make people feel something real anymore? He asked, adjusting an imaginary camera. Everyone's numb. They scroll past real suffering every day, so I gave it structure, pacing, stakes. The screen behind him changed. Clips played, news footage, viral videos, creepy YouTube animations I recognized. Except now, I could see the seams, the edits, the planted comments, the counts boosting them. "You didn't just kill people," I said. "You turned them into stories." He nodded, proud. Stories live longer. The progress bar on my phone jumped to 27%. A new prompt appeared. "Remember the first rehearsal." My head exploded with pain. Not like a headache, like someone yanking a curtain open inside my skull. I was 12 again, sitting in this same basement, the old version of it. My dad sat across from me, a camera on a tripod pointed at my face. "Just pretend," he said gently. "Pretend you're scared." I remembered crying. I remembered begging him to stop filming. I remembered him telling me it was important I learn how to react naturally. "You were so good," he said now, watching the memory play on the screen. Even back then, the comments went insane. "This is messed up. Wait, is this real?" Method acting goes crazy. Disney could never. Another memory slammed into me. 16. A girl from my school went missing. Everyone said she ran away. I remembered my dad being unusually quiet that week. I remembered him asking me, casually, how I thought a disappearance should feel. The progress bar climbed. 45%. "I never touched them," he said, as if reading my thoughts. I didn't have to. I just wrote the scripts. Other people were very eager to perform. The screen cut to a live feed. My mom's bedroom. She was sitting on the bed, staring straight ahead, eyes unfocused. The camera zoomed in, slowly, lovingly. "Stop," I said. "Please." He leaned closer to me. "You want her to live?" he whispered. "Then you finish the season." Another poll appeared on the screen. How should scene 3 end? Full recall, partial suppression. The votes weren't even close. The bar hit 99%. My phone vibrated violently. Memory recovery. Complete. I remembered everything. The rehearsals, the fake blood, the scripts I helped him proofread without understanding what they were. The night he told me we were special, chosen, protected by the narrative. I collapsed to the floor, choking on the weight of it. My dad stood, satisfied. "See?" he said softly. "You were never just the audience." He looked directly into the camera. "Neither are they." The lights in the house flickered, then stabilized into something brighter, harsher. Studio lighting. And somewhere far above us, something massive shifted, like a set piece being moved into place. The studio lights didn't just illuminate the room, they erased it. Edges vanished first, corners softened, then peeled away like cheap wallpaper, revealing scaffolding behind the walls of my childhood home. Metal beams, cables thick as my wrist, a catwalk running where the ceiling used to be. Above it all, a darkness so deep, it felt intentional, like something waiting for its cue. My dad, the director, clapped once. The sound echoed far too long. "Reset," he said. The house shifted. I felt it in my teeth, in the way my stomach floated like I'd missed a step. The basement dissolved into a wide open space that smelled like ozone and burned dust. Screens unfolded from the walls, hundreds of them, all playing different feeds at once. Not just my house, airports, subways, convenience stores at 2 a.m., a Starbucks in Tokyo with rain streaking down the windows, a McDonald's somewhere in Eastern Europe, neon flickering, empty except for one man staring straight up at a security camera like he knew. All of them had something in common. A small symbol in the corner of the feed, a stylized eye, blinking. This is the part people never believe, my dad said conversationally, pacing. They think scale makes things harder. It doesn't. It makes them anonymous. I watched a screen zoom in on a crowded plaza, a famous one. I recognized it from travel vlogs, tourists always filming themselves there. The feed rewound a few seconds, then played again. A woman dropped her phone. No one helped her pick it up. The moment froze. Extras, he said. Most people are extras. They don't know they're in the shot, and they don't care. They just follow the blocking. The progress bar on my phone was gone now, replaced by a live script, lines highlighting themselves as he spoke. Act 4. Escalation. The world acknowledges the story. The screens changed again. News broadcasts, every channel. Anchors sweating, voices tight as they tried to explain why emergency alerts were going off simultaneously in dozens of countries. Why unrelated events, fires, blackouts, accidents were lining up in ways that felt rehearsed. A bridge closure here, a subway derailment there, a gas leak at a theme park that forced thousands to evacuate under screaming alarms and costume mascots with frozen smiles. No aliens, no bombs, just coincidence stacked so high it became impossible to ignore. Plausibility is everything, my dad said. You don't show the monster right away. You let them argue about whether it exists. One screen showed a popular YouTuber I recognized, the kind who does debunking videos, smug and confident, laughing into his camera. This is all viral marketing, he said. You guys need to relax. The feed cut to him later that night, live streaming from his apartment. The power went out behind him. Something knocked on his door. The chat exploded with laughing emojis. The feed cut before he opened it. I gagged. You're killing people, I said hoarsely. My dad didn't even look at me. No, he replied. I'm arranging outcomes. Another screen showed a private forum. Deep web, black background, white text. Thousands of users logged in simultaneously. Welcome to the ritual. I recognized pieces of it from Creepypasta I'd read as a kid. Bloody Mary logic. Instructions vague enough to feel harmless. Stand in the dark. Say the words. Film your reaction. People beg to be scared, my dad continued. They perform for free. They film themselves. They escalate. A clip played. A teenager in his bathroom, lights off, whispering something into the mirror, laughing nervously. The mirror moved. Not a jump scare. Not a demon. Just the reflection lagging half a second behind. The boy screamed. The audience counter jumped. Millions. The air vibrated with that breathing again. Louder now. Closer. Like it was inside my chest. I fell to my knees. Why us? I asked. Why our family? My dad finally turned to me, his expression almost tender. Because every story needs survivors, he said. Anchors. Someone to follow when the world collapses into narrative. Another screen activated. A map of the world. Points of light pulsed across it, spreading slowly, like an infection. Each point labeled with a title. The Watcher in the drive-thru. The Last Ride Home. The Elevator Game. Live version. Comments scrolled beneath each title. I tried this last night. Something followed me home. Is it supposed to whisper your name? My phone buzzed again. A prompt. Your turn to direct. The screen shifted, focusing on a single live feed. My mom. She was standing now, in the middle of her room. The walls around her no longer looked like walls, more like flats, thin and hollow. A mark had been taped to the floor beneath her feet. An X. Make a choice, my dad said quietly. The audience loves agency. 2 buttons appeared on my screen. A. Continue the story. Cut to black. I knew what A meant. Escalation. Chaos. The world leaning forward. Hungry. I knew what B meant too. A hard stop. No answers. No closure. Something worse than fear. Irrelevance. The audience breathing hit a fever pitch. My dad leaned in close, his voice barely audible over it. If you cut to black, he whispered, they'll fill in the rest themselves, and they'll never stop. My hand shook so badly, I nearly dropped the phone. Outside, somewhere, sirens wailed. Not just one city, many, overlapping, unsynchronized, like a choir that had forgotten the song. The map pulsed brighter. The world was watching, waiting for me to decide how the scene ends. And I realized then, with a clarity that made me feel hollow, that no matter what I chose, the story was already real. I didn't press either button. That's the part that still makes my hands shake when I think about it. Not because it was brave, not because it was clever, but because it was wrong in a way I don't have language for. Like skipping a step in a ritual you don't believe in, only to realize belief was never required. The phone vibrated harder, angry now, buzzing in short, impatient bursts. The audience breathing turned wet, uneven, like something choking back laughter. My dad watched me with that same tired patience he used to have when I couldn't finish my homework. You're hesitating, he said. They hate that. The screens around us began to desync. Feeds overlapped. Audio bled through from one to another. A subway announcement in French mashed together with a screaming TikTok live. Somewhere, someone was laughing hysterically while sirens wailed behind them. The map of lights stopped spreading. It pulsed. Then something new appeared. A third option, not on my phone, on the biggest screen. C. Let the story choose. My dad stiffened. For the first time since this began, something like concern flickered across his face. That's not supposed to be there, he muttered. The audience roared, not cheering, not clapping, approval. The room shook as if something massive had shifted its weight. The darkness above the catwalk rippled, and for a split second, I saw depth there, layers, like rows of seats stretching up into infinity. I understood then. This was never about my dad. He wasn't the architect. He was a facilitator, a middle manager in a system that had learned something awful about people. If you give them a story, they will beg to live inside it. If you give them a role, they will bleed to keep it. The screen showing my mom froze. Her feed glitched, then rewound, not to earlier that night, but years ago. Her face younger, softer, standing beside my dad in this same basement, holding a script. I staggered back. You told her? I whispered. My dad didn't answer. The screen split. 2 versions of her played side by side. In one, she shook her head, crying, backing away from the camera. In the other, she smiled. Everyone wants to survive, my dad said quietly. Some people just understand the cost sooner. The audience breathing synced up, inhaling as one. The third option pulsed brighter. Let the story choose. I felt it then. Not fear, not panic, but something colder. The realization that every time I'd refreshed a feed, every time I'd watched a creepy video late at night, every time I'd leaned in instead of looking away, I'd been rehearsing for this. My phone went dark. No buttons, no prompts. The decision had been made. The screens all cut to black at once. For half a second, there was silence. Then the world screamed. not metaphorically, literally. Every feed came back online, but they weren't framed anymore. No titles, no overlays, just raw, shaking footage. People running, people crying, people filming something they didn't understand because filming was the only way they knew how to exist inside a moment. No aliens descended from the sky. No war was declared. Instead, rituals worked. Not always, not cleanly, but enough. Mirrors lagged. Shadows misbehaved. Elevators skipped floors they weren't supposed to have. Drive-thrus answered questions customers didn't ask. Theme park rides stalled at the highest point, holding people there just long enough for something to whisper their names through the speakers. Plausible deniability shattered. The audience wasn't watching anymore. They were participating. My dad sank into the director's chair, suddenly smaller, older. "I didn't write this ending," he said. "No," I replied, my voice steady in a way that scared me. "You just taught it how to start." The biggest screen flickered one last time. A live feed. Me, standing there, eyes hollow, mouth moving as I spoke words I didn't remember learning. The viewer count was gone, replaced by a symbol, that blinking eye. Then the house collapsed back into itself. Walls returned, lights dimmed, the scaffolding vanished like it had never existed. I was alone in the basement, no screens, no audience, no dad, just a single camera mounted high in the corner, its red light steady. I ran. I don't remember leaving the house. I don't remember the street. I remember waking up 2 days later in a hospital with no record of how I got there. No news coverage, no explanation. The world, apparently, had experienced a brief period of mass hysteria. That's what the doctors said. That's what the headlines said. Everything went back to normal. Mostly. Except people don't watch horror the same way anymore. They don't laugh at the wrong moments. They don't scroll past glitches. And sometimes, late at night, when I open my phone, my front camera turns on by itself. Just for a second. Just long enough for me to see the reflection behind me. Rows and rows of faces, leaning forward, breathing in sync, waiting for the next scene. If this post cuts off suddenly, if my account goes quiet, if you start noticing stories lining up a little too neatly, don't ask what happens next. You already know. You're still watching. Elliot, a 20-year-old from New York, discovers a hidden study in his late father's basement. Inside, he finds detailed scripts outlining elaborate, staged murders of real people, influencers, YouTubers, baristas, all made to look like urban legends or viral creepypastas. His father, who supposedly died of a heart attack, had been orchestrating these killings through a secret dark web operation known as cinematic reality, blending murder, media, and horror storytelling into real-life events. As Elliot investigates, his house transforms into a twisted movie set. Social media begins reacting to his life in real time. Viewers are watching him through live streams he never started. He discovers his entire childhood was filled with rehearsals, manipulated trauma disguised as normal life to prepare him for this moment. His mother is revealed to have once participated willingly. His father returns, not dead, but as a director figure, revealing that Elliot's life has always been scripted. Viewers across the globe are unknowingly part of a massive ritual. Real Creepypasta-style games are actually working now. People aren't just watching horror content, they're living inside it. In the final act, Elliot is offered three choices: continue the story, cut to black, or let the story choose. He hesitates. The system chooses for him. The narrative escapes the script. The world turns into the set. Now, the horror is global, and Elliot realizes the truth too late. The audience was never separate. We were always part of the script, and it's still rolling.